Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of After the Devs, where I and a fellow content creator look back at the previous Coffee Stain Studio dev stream and break down all the information that they've given us. So, I am pleased to say that today we're going to be joined by a friendly face. So today we welcome back Samueras for another episode of After the Devs. For those of you who don't know, would you like to again mention what you do?
Yeah, sure. Well, again, I'm doing mainly guides and tip videos on YouTube. I'm trying to get a little bit more into the detail of the game and help people. That's the main thing. I just like to help people. I stream on weekends on YouTube on Saturday and Sunday on Twitch.
So we're going to be talking first off about the state of development for the game. Now the first thing that they confirmed was that they're currently on track for everything. They were able to get the update out on time. They're now scheduled for the transition from experimental to early access, which will be next week on Tuesday if everything goes well. And then they mentioned some more schedules, I do believe.
Yeah, they did. They have more on schedule, and let's hope they all keep there. So after the transition to early access, we're going to see an experimental for improved networks for conveyor belts. So that means they want to improve how belts react and behave in multiplayer. It's not really a performance optimization, but a general thing. And after that, we're going to see the Unreal Engine update with optimizations for networks and improvements and sync issues and all that stuff. So a step closer to the dedicated server, I guess. And after that, they have the modular build, which I'm really not sure what that means.
Yeah, so the modular build, I think it might have been today that they touched on it actually, just very quickly. It's what they're planning on doing, from what I understand, is they kind of separate the build into modules so that when modders get hold of it, they can concentrate on a single part of the whole game, because at the moment, whenever someone tries to mod the game, it's the whole game. So, for example, I don't know how they'll module it, but it could be the UI section or items in the game or terrain, like compartmentalizing it, and so that you can just work on that section of the game for a particular mod. And apparently that's going to be really easy,
cool improvement
for them. So yeah, they then said that after the module update that they'll be pushing on to update 4, which will be released early next year. And on the subject of all this, they did also state that there's currently a problem with cloud syncs in experimental and early access for Epic. So if you are playing on Epic, do back up your games. Now the reason for this is because there's the cloud save, which is different to the local save. So potentially what you could find yourself doing, and probably what I'm going to do at some point, is accidentally overwriting your most recent save with your older save. I do it all the time.
Yeah, basically the problem is that Epic thinks experimental is a different game, but it still has the same save game folder on the computer. So if you download the cloud data from your experimental, you're going to overwrite your save files from early access and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So if you press that button wrong, then, well, you can delete your saves.
Because I was doing this quite often, what I ended up doing was actually going on to Epic Games and disabling the cloud save function. I don't know if that still works, whether that's going to help the problem at all. But that's what I've done, and I haven't had that problem. It doesn't save to the cloud; it just goes onto my local system.
But that also means you don't have a backup anymore. So That's the main issue. And you seems to like living dangerous. I have my save files saved additionally on Google Drive, because after hearing Lilith Coutinho losing a 2,000 hour save file, I don't know if I could survive that mentally. So no risk there.
That's fair enough. You back up to protect yourself. Lilith, for those of you who don't know, is one of our modders in our live streams and also on my Discord. But you see, you're looking at it the wrong way. I only started doing videos on Satisfactory because I got a corrupt file and I deleted everything and I started rebuilding things really neatly. And subsequently, I started doing videos on that. So if it wasn't for corruptions and overwrites, I would have never have started this. So there's a silver lining there.
Yes. Thank you, Coffee Stain, for having those bugs in the game, which brought us TotalXclipse and Satisfactory. I appreciate it. I really do, because without you doing Satisfactory, I would never have started my YouTube channel.
There you go. The butterfly effect in full swing there. So after talking about all of that, they went on to talk about the questions and answers section. They were wondering what was more of the bottleneck for the game, whether it was the CPU or the GPU. And the dev said that for most people, for the majority, the chances are it's going to be the CPU that's bottlenecking. And then another question was asked about optimization. When will we see optimizations to the game? Well, if you've just paid attention to what we've been talking about just above, they're constantly updating the game with more optimizations, and though it may not seem like there's that much progress, if you look at where we were right at the beginning versus where we are now, you can see that there's been a huge development in optimization. So it's just little by little, it will get there. You just need to give it some time.
Yeah. And speaking of CPU performance, there are some issues that makes it even more, like VR support. VR support means you have head tracking and stuff, which goes on your CPU as well, so you have even more problems there with a game already really CPU bottlenecked. That's where they really want to improve more. Not only, of course, but Jay said he doesn't know when VR support is going to happen, but it wasn't if VR support has happened. So I think he confirmed it. Well, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I want him to have confirmed VR support.
Well, he did say that there are two kinds of VR support. So there is support that gets you into the game, and then there's support that actually allows you to play around with the game in VR. So maybe they're just going to get you to the main menu. Who knows? Maybe that bit's confirmed.
Oh, right. Official modding was also being discussed. They basically just stated it is a project they are doing. It is going to be mainly being done when the dedicated servers are done, though. So that one will be first.
And a note on dedicated servers is that there's no update for when it will be done. They did mention that though they don't plan to make any changes for dedicated servers for the playability, that apparently Snut did have a little chat with Mark, and that potentially further down the line they may do some scaling for that to I guess give just a general better experience for dedicated servers. But I'm still very interested to find out how they're going to implement dedicated servers and how we can play around with them ourselves, what control we have over them.
I'm looking forward to that. And by the way, they also mentioned there will be no competitive maps or modes for now, and they don't have any plans to do those.
Yeah, what they did go on to say was that someone was asking about potentially randomized nodes. I think someone mentioned before about I may have just made this up, procedurally generated maps, and they were like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
But afterwards, there was a suggestion of randomized nodes, which I think that is an awesome idea. And they said that could be a potential game mode, maybe after 1.0, but certainly story mode map will be vanilla, essentially what it is now.
Basically, what they said is there was an issue in the game which didn't even them allow to randomize nodes. But as far as he could tell, that issue should be solved, so it should be possible now at least.
Yeah, and they said that potentially, even if they don't implement that as a mode down the line, that potentially modders will, which wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
They then went on to also, someone asked about crossplay, and we already know crossplay is in-game currently, right now. You can play with Steam on Epic.
If you ask the bot on the stream, it will tell you crossplay is going to come.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure. Well, I know it's just the bot who needs some updating. But yeah, it's basically it's a session ID thing. So if you're in game, you can go to manage your session. There you find the session ID, give that to your friend on the other platform, and he can join you no matter what. Crossplay between Epic and Stream is so pretty easy.
Is it me?
Yes.
Achievements! So, going off of... I could have segued that really well. Talking about both the Epic and Steam platform, we can talk about achievements. So it was asked whether achievements will be included in the game. And they've said that yes, they do want to add achievements, but they won't be doing this until the game is in a more stable state. So I presume 1.0. Also, in regards to the story mode, someone was asking, any news on the story? And they said, you're a part of the company, you work for the company, and you're harvesting materials to send back for a reason. That's all they said. And then Snut mentioned that there's already hints as to why you're doing this currently in game. Yeah.
I mean, just go to Mercer Sphere or Summer's Loop and stay there for 5 minutes or so and listen to what it's talk, because it's not the first, hey, you should harvest this over and over again. It's going through the whole dialogue routine, and there are some interesting hints in there for sure.
They then also asked about whether we'll have any cutscenes for the story mode, and they said that probably not, other than the initial landing on the planet.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit into the gameplay anyways. It's not really a story-driven game where you go to a specific point and then have a cutscene. It's all open world and pretty free-moving. So you probably it's going to be more in-game, and even if you talk to somebody, you're probably going to talk to Ada or see text somewhere, or maybe you even meet somebody new. We don't know yet. Maybe the secretary or the another engineer comes down and talks to you. We will see. Speaking of stuff coming into the game, Jace joked about a $1 toilet DLC, and I have to say I am totally down for that. I just need the toilet to be able to be flushed, and I want the toilet to be workable as a fluid sink.
In all seriousness about DLC, the potential for DLC in Satisfactory, they have mentioned a few times that they may consider this further down the line, but it's not something on the horizon at the moment because they've still got 1.0 to come out.
Oh, speaking about more stuff, they also did confirm a lot of stuff which is going to come out soonish. They didn't mention any dates on any of those, but there were the lights.
So with the lights, they've been talking about this for a while. The big problem has always been that they take a huge amount of the performance budget to be used, and so potentially down the line, if they can optimize that or optimize the game well enough, as soon as they do, they can bring the lights in. And I think that's well within reason.
Yep. Then a thing that has been mentioned. Is round and triangle foundations.
Yeah, so they mentioned they liked the idea of that one. I mean, I can already get my circles in game. Cheating it. But I do fully agree it would be cool to have that kind of customizability in game. And they said, look, with these kind of suggestions, go to the questions and answer site, submit it on there, get your friends, get other people, get the community involved to upvote it if they think it's a good idea, because that will get seen. And you never know. That might be in a future update.
True. What else? Oh yeah, the big crab is supposed to come soonish.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that one. Did they mention any other critters though? Any other creatures that we may see?
It was basically talk about other critters, and they said the big crab is coming soonish, and then others will probably follow, or then they will see something like that. But it sounded like other critters are going to come as well.
Okay, cool.
And what else? Oh yeah, they are working, or they need some to adjust some of the inputs and outputs on the belts as well. So that was the thing.
I didn't quite understand this question that well in the live stream, and I mean we've already spoken a bit about this. From what I understood, it was relating to like elevators and how you can place mergers and splitters onto them, and when you clip them onto the elevator, suddenly the two side inputs and outputs aren't usable, so there's no point having them on there. So that's what I thought that was relating to, but then you mentioned it was possibly something more general to do with like the manufacturers, for example, the inputs on that.
Yeah, there's an issue with the manufacturer that the outputs are a little bit too far forward or backwards, so they are not on the 1 meter scale everything else on the foundation has. And because of that, if you bring a belt from the side, it's always a little bit angled and not like a right angle. But I'm pretty sure they meant all of those stuff. It's just general improvements on those outputs and inputs, and so that they are working like they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, speaking of working how it's supposed to, Jace mentioned in, well, more or less a side note, that they are going to implement science. I'm really stoked for that.
Yeah, so they've mentioned a few times in the past that with signs that they already have them for train stations. So in theory, they should be relatively easy to implement into the game. They already have that kind of thing available to them. And so they said that they were working on them. So yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
And it was the way he talked about that. So basically, he just, like I said, it was the side sentence. It sounded like, yeah, sure, of course, sites are going to come, and they are practically done, and we're going to see them pretty soon. So maybe even before update 4. So that's the general feeling I had from how he said it.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's confirmed for sure that they are coming, and I hope we're going to see them soon. The same goes for paintable vehicles, though, even though I missed that one. But yeah, tell us.
Yes, so they mentioned at one point whether we'd be able to paint our vehicles. And I mentioned in a video a long time ago now that I could highlight a vehicle with a paint gun. And so it suggested that we would be able to select them to be painted, but that we couldn't. And so they said today, I think it was said that this was a feature that was in game, but for some reason it was removed, whether there was a bug or there was a reason. But that we can probably expect that to come back though at some point. And
I actually still remember that video. I think it was your first video on vehicles, a guide to vehicles. It has to be 2 years back or so.
I think that was back for the update where they had the rifles.
Yeah.
The sulfur and the quartz. Man, a long time.
Yeah.
They then went on from that to talk about, there was a question in regards to what's better for frame optimization, whether it's trains, vehicles, conveyors. And the first big no that came up was vehicles. Though they're able to transport items, they were never meant for having 30, 40 vehicles transporting items at any one point in the game. And so they are buggy,
like
it's not
somebody
optimized. Sorry?
Or like somebody I will not mention here, like having a fleet out of hundreds or even thousands of factory
You're going
cars.
to say, factory cars. I know exactly who you're on about. Who doesn't? They then went on to talk about if it's for a large amount of items, then probably trains are going to be better. However, it depends on the situation, which is something that I've been saying all along. Just in general use for your factory, it really depends on what you're using them for. But yeah, they mentioned that, and then they went on to talk about, there was another question about the vehicles that drop to the floor. The weird bug, you get out of your vehicle and then it's on the compass and you can't find it. It's actually fallen through the floor to the bottom. And apparently that's supposed to delete itself if that happens. And then I presume you get a little box of shame on the surface. But apparently what happens is that it gets so far from the character that it just doesn't update, and so it doesn't delete. And so it's just stuck there at the bottom.
Yeah, I see. By the way, guys, if that happens to you, there is a website, satisfactory-calculator.com. And it has an interactive map where you can load your save file, can delete the vehicle using that website, and then download it again and have the vehicle gone. Not the best solution, but it's a working one, and you don't even need any mods.
Yeah, only thing I will say is if you're one of those people with 30, 40, or 1,000 factory carts in your game, don't delete the wrong vehicle, because that's going to screw up your production lines altogether. But that's
very true.
All they mentioned today, really. I was surprised, actually. I thought that there was a lot more answered in terms of the Q&A than recently, and they actually gave us a lot of information, which was nice. So that's all we have in terms of the After the Devs. However, that does bring us onto our own mini community section where we highlight what's going on in the community at the moment, any community events that are coming up. And the first one that I want to talk about is the R1 website, our website, R1, Satisfactory Tips, the website. It's a community event which is coming up this weekend on the 7th of November. 6 p.m.
It will
GMT.
be glorious.
So Samueras has an awesome mini game that he's hosting, and I have one as well. And there are several other people that are hosting mini games as well, which are going to be awesome. And there are loads of prizes, and we've got some of the Coffee Stains staff members who are going to join us, which will be fun.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I heard in the stream that Jace confirmed that he and Snut is going to be there. So, looking forward to that.
Yeah, should be fun. If you do want to catch that, again, 6 p.m. BST, 6 p.m. GMT. Time zones.
6
I don't
p.m.
do
UTC.
But, yeah, 6 p.m. UTC, GMT, whatever you want to call it, over on Twitch, either on BrainDG's Twitch channel, which is where it will be hosted, but I will also be hosting it on my channel, and I will as well. Yeah, so Samueras', mine, BrainDG's. You'll find it on there if you want to be part of it.
So,
Other than that,
well, speaking of that, guys, don't miss it. Coffee State Studio peoples are there. That's your chance to show them that you are better in playing the game than they are. Not an easy task, but possible. Maybe.
Well, there you go. Maybe. We'll see. There's also BrainDG's community event. So every Thursday at 9 p.m, he hosts his build battle, which is, I believe, between 4 and 8 people, depending, I don't know, on how he's feeling on the day. But it's an awesome event. I compete in it far too much, too often. I love it. Really interesting.
It is a lot of fun, yeah.
Of expressing yourself, your artistic side in game. We also have Runestone's multiplayer map on a Friday. I'm not sure what time it is. And there's also Respawn Repeat has messaged me saying that his event will be on November the 22nd.
Oh, very cool.
That's coming up. You're getting brownie points from the audience with your lovely cat.
I try. Yeah, Respawn's Repeat. I'm looking forward to it. It's his first event, so very interested in what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of events, do you have any coming up? Because you've recently done one. Have you got another one planned?
It's a little bit off. Probably in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm going to announce it if we go a little bit closer.
Awesome. Cool. Well, there you go. So those are all the community events that we know of at the moment. If you do have a community event coming up and you want to highlight it, do let me know over on wherever I am. You can catch me in many places. Probably the best one is on Discord or during one of my live streams. So yeah, that's everything we have time for in this video. So thank you very much, Samueras, for joining us once again. I know it was last minute for you, but I greatly appreciate you joining.
It was my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and have fun gaming.
So that's all we have time for in today's episode of After the Devs. Now, special thanks does go obviously to Samueras for helping me out here. If you do want to check out his content, I will link his YouTube and his Twitch as well as his Twitter below so you can check him out. I highly recommend it. Again, with special thanks to our Solar Eclipse Patreons, The Calamity, Tommy Ostgaard and Bo Papa, along with our Lunar Eclipse Patreon, Matt Lippard, and our Blood Moon Patreon of the day, which is Papa Snoozy. And special thanks to all our other Patreons and supporters who allow me to make this happen. Anyway, guys, until next time, thank you so much for watching. Ciao for now.